Elderly Wolf Uncle Chapter 120. Phew, phew, everything was sweeping backwards at an unimaginable speed. Not even close, still not enough. Feeling his speed at this moment, Chen Tian slowly narrowed his eyes. He could feel that the more he ran, the faster the two divine speed forces copied from his body fused. At the same time, his movement speed is also climbing. However, when approaching the speed of light, Chen Tian's increase in speed began to slow down. Even though the two divine speed forces in the body have never stopped the speed of fusion, the speed increase is not as fast as it was at the beginning. Perhaps, a person's speed of movement, if you want to break through the speed of light, there is a threshold. Chen Tian couldn't help but analyze in his heart. After all, the faster an object moves, the more it is affected by gravitational and magnetic fields. And 320 speed of light, let alone that. Crossing this threshold, you can even travel through time and space. Therefore, feeling his speed, getting closer and closer to the speed of light, Chen Tian couldn't help but be anxious in his heart. Perhaps, when the two divine speed forces in my body are completely fused, I will be able to break through the speed of light. He thought silently. Meantime, he is also doing his best to urge his divine speed. Try to speed up the fusion of the new God speed force. Phew, the three figures rushed at a speed that no one else could see. And Hunter, the speedster he carried in his hand, had completely forgotten to resist at this moment. Feel the speed you've never had before. Even the speed that even dares not imagine is unimaginable. His eyes widened, and his heart was horrified to the extreme, and it was also complicated to the extreme. In order to increase his speed to the peak, he has been constantly shuttling through different spaces since a few years ago, plundering the divine speed power of other speedsters. After countless efforts, we have today's speed. This is what he is most proud of. However, the pride in the heart of the speedster Hunter was completely crushed into slag by Chen Tian's performance at this time. The speed of this teenager is simply terrifying. As for Barry, Alan is directly numb. Such a terrifying speed, is it real? Just when the other two people fell into an incomparable shock, a smile suddenly appeared on Chen Tian's face. It's done. Buzz one by one. At this moment, the two divine speed forces in his body finally completed a complete fusion, and all turned into a beating white electric arc. Meanwhile, Chen Tian felt his speed and finally broke through a bottleneck. The movement speed, which had been increasing at a slow pace before, was sublimated at this moment. Shave time. Chen Tian's moving figure approaching the speed of light infinitely flashed again, and his speed skyrocketed. Exceeded the speed of light. And in the next second, phew, the surrounding space was distorted at this time. Chen Tian's three people were clearly moving forward at high speed, but the surrounding scenes that were retreating suddenly paused. Then, it was like a painting that was frozen, and then all the colors that belonged to the surrounding environment were suddenly stretched, distorted, and deformed by invisible forces at this time. What's going on? Chen Tian found that after his speed broke through the speed of light, he suddenly had a strange zero, and he was ready to stop his movement at the first time. But at this moment, space and time seem to have lost any meaning. Zero without space, there will be no movement. Without time and time, there will be no speed. He and Barry, Alan, and Hunter the speedster. With the changes around me, I only felt that my body seemed to have become an eraser, squeezed, stretched, and stirred by invisible forces. In the real world, the three have disappeared. Chapter 88 Heading to the Black Robe Pickets. Friendly Motherlanders. Sudden changes. Let the flash. Barry, Alan and Hunter the speedster immediately hung their hearts. What they are experiencing at this moment is too bizarre and beyond imagination. They had never experienced anything like this before. As for Chen Tian, he didn't feel much surprise. Because he knows that when an object moves faster than the speed of light, it can achieve the effect of traveling through time and space. If nothing else, we should be traveling through time by now. Chen Tian thought silently. Of course, after all, it was the first time, and now he couldn't be sure what kind of time they would end up in. Just when several people had different thoughts. Phew. Everything that has just been experienced seems to have disappeared at this time. Things that were distorted in the line of sight before began to take shape. Phew. Above a vast desert, a brilliant white light galloped from the horizon, leaving a white trail above the ground. Everywhere the white light passed, there were sharp and piercing sonic booms. There are also strong air currents born out of thin air, rushing in all directions, sweeping up the sky in dust and fog, and rolling endlessly. That white light, in just a few seconds, has already crossed 1,000,000 kilometers. From the desert full of barren deserts, we came to a jungle full of tall tropical trees. Rumble. Until this moment, this white light stopped suddenly. Three figures gradually revealed. It was Chen Tian and the three. The Flash. Barry, Alan and Hunter the speedster stood on either side of Chen Tian, their eyes quickly looking at the surrounding environment, and they were shocked. They had just seen speeds far beyond their own, and they were so fast that they couldn't see things around them. All the changes they experienced later were beyond their comprehension. By now, they could finally keep their feet on the ground, and the two even felt that their legs were a little soft. Which is it? Barry, Alan looked up at the bits of sunlight shining down from among the rich foliage of the plant. At the same time, Hunter, the speedster on the side, also looked at Chen Tian. And Chen Tian did not answer them. He clearly knew that they had just moved, not only in space. It's across time. Now Chen Tian and the three of them, if nothing else, should have returned to the past. I don't know about this place either, but... Chen Tian took a deep breath, and at the same time raised his head and looked at the surrounding plants. The oxygen concentration here is very high. Quote, these plants, both in terms of the size of their leaves, as well as the height and thickness of their branches, far exceed the size they should have in modern times. Even grass that grows on the ground is at least 1 meter long. And the Flash Barry, Alan and Hunter the Speedster, IQ and knowledge reserve are not low.